Once upon a time, there was a giraffe. A giraffe. A giraffe. That's not good. Yeah, that's not going to work. I normally start these stories with once upon a time, there was a dog. A dog. A dog. Basically, a dog. I thought I'd try and do a variation on that and do it with a giraffe. But it turns out the word giraffe, much as it's a fantastic word, it doesn't lend itself to you going, once upon a time there was a dog. A dog. A dog. Basically a dog. Maybe it could be I don't know, it could be come up with something else. Maybe it could be a giraffe dog. Or a giraffe. I don't know, a hedgehog. How about a hedgehog? I'll try it. Once upon a time there was a hedgehog. A hedgehog. A hedgehog. You see, now that sounds like it works perfectly fine to you, but you're not the one trying to perform it. I find I'm going, instead of going dog, I'm going hedgehog. I find that having to say two syllables before the it kind of tangles me up a bit. I'm not enjoying it. It's just it's too much, really. It's two syllables of normal word before I do the thing on top of it. And it's not enjoyable. The whole point of doing the once upon a time there was a dog. A dog. A dog thing is that I enjoy it. I enjoy saying that. But no, a hedgehog, I just don't enjoy that. So that's not going to work. And giraffe isn't going to work. Unless, of course, I could just do a once upon a time there was a giraffe story without doing the thing and just enjoy for what it is, a giraffe story. I suppose that could work. I can just not worry about making it do the dog sound thing. And just go, once upon a time there was a giraffe. A giraffe. A giraffe. See, I'm out of habit now and still trying to do the getting something out of the word. Maybe stressing the F's a bit or something. Once upon a time there was a giraffe. No, that's just disgusting. That's disgusting. Jesus Christ. I can't believe I did that. That's absolutely disgusting. Disgusting. Absolutely not. No, that's just no. That's just no. No. We're not doing that. No, that's no. Absolutely not. Fuck that shit. Fuck that shit. That's like, that's just no. We're going to drag down the 17 years of this shit. I'm not going to just throw it away just for a giraffe. Absolutely fucking no. So no, we'll go, once upon a time there was a dog. A dog. Basically a dog. And this dog, I'll tell you about this dog now. This dog he was up on the roof of a house. There was a nice sunny day and he was up on the roof. He was walking up and down the roof saying, oh, this is great. I like going up and down the roof. I think cats do this sometimes, do they? I'm not sure. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. Birds do it, I think. And then, because I remember from my childhood, for a few years I lived in a bedroom that was in a converted attic with attic windows, and you'd hear cats and birds and things walking up and down the roof. And go going, they'd wake you up because they're fucking, and tell you, I can't tell you anything. I can't tell you anything about that. There's nothing there. It's not that I can't. It's just there's nothing to say. There's no story there. It's not a thing. It's not a thing. There's no interest whatsoever. No value. It's of no value, of no interest. It's going nowhere. Nowhere. No, and it's not even going nowhere fast. It's taking a long time to go nowhere. At least when something's going nowhere fast, you can say, oh, this is going nowhere fast. Let's get out of here. Let's get the fuck of this. Sometimes the young people, they'll try to be cute about it. They'll say, let's get the fluck out of here. But then they're delayed then because they have to explain to everyone that fluck is kind of a cutesy version of saying fuck. No one understands it. They'll say, what the hell is a fluck? I don't know what that is. And you have to explain it to everyone. Now I don't wait. Is that a local thing? Because people say people. There's an Irish word, fluck, that means wet. It's wet out. You say that's Tasioghiflghiush or something. So when people say it's let's get the fluck out of here, are they trying to say an Irish thing, or is that a thing people use abroad? You see, I don't know. I don't go abroad a lot. I haven't. And when I go abroad, I don't do surveys about this sort of thing. So when maybe it's just my wife says it, I suppose that's a possibility. Now that you mention it, I'm not sure if I've ever heard anyone outside of this house say, let's get the fluck out of here. That will make sense now. So you've probably no idea what I'm talking about then, because you've never heard anyone say, let's get the fluck out of here. Oh well. Well, you have now, so there you go. Let's get the fluck out of here. But of course, you see the problem, that's what I'm saying. The problem with let's get the fluck out of here is everyone goes, what in the name of Christ does that mean? And you have to explain it. You say, oh, it's just a cutesy, non-sweary way of saying let's get the fuck out of here. You have to translate for them. And by the time you've translated for them, you've wasted time. So your whole idea of going nowhere fast is, you're going too slow. It's taking ages. Although you are going nowhere. So if they had understood you saying, let's get the fluck out of here, you would have all got out of there by now. So you'd be going somewhere fast. So now, because they don't understand you, you're having to explain you're still going nowhere fast. So I suppose that's good. You're going nowhere. Well, I suppose you're not going. If you're going nowhere, there's no speed involved at all. You're not going nowhere fast and you're not going nowhere slowly. So you're just going nowhere. So I suppose that's true. You're at a standstill. Is that right? Yes, I think that's right. I think I've accidentally done it the right way then. So you're going nowhere. So you're not going nowhere fast and you're not going nowhere slowly. You're just going nowhere. You're at a standstill. Now, I'm sure there's something in astrophysics or somewhere about you can't be. Nothing is ever fully at a standstill or something. But leave that to the Professor Stephen Hawking's of this world. We're not going to get into that here.
Into your head, into your head, into your head, into your head, into your head.
You join me at a tremendously exciting moment. It's Into Your Head, number 813. We've a lot to get on with today. Items that need to be attended to. Issues that need to be addressed. Topics. Oh, topics. We've got lots and lots of topics. We're positively booming to the seams with topics. We've got topics coming out of my arse. Topics coming out of my arse. Where do you want them to come out of? I don't know. That's how the sausage is made. If you don't want to know, don't listen. Well, do listen. Just don't expect me. Wait a minute. That bad marketing. I'm telling you, don't listen. If you don't want to know how it's made, that's a problem. Maybe I should make a separate episode of this podcast with no background information about how the sausage is made. Because apparently you don't want to hear about a sausage coming out. But I suppose it's understandable. Who wants to listen to a thing about a sausage coming out of someone's arse? Especially if you're a new listener. You've no idea what's going on here. You just stumbled across here on somewhere on one of the numerous networks into which I've added this podcast lately. Oh, you're probably on some music app. You're looking for the latest fresh musical beats of today, and you're on some music app. I've been adding this podcast to some music apps that grudgingly allow podcasts in. So there's some kid somewhere looking for the fresh musical beats with a Z of today. So he does a search. He says something like, into your head beats. I want beats into my head. I want to search for beats into my head. And then he searches for beats into my head. And about the first 3 results will be from that fucking boy band BB Max. Oh, years and years ago, they had a song called Into Your Head. Everywhere you search for Into Your Head, you get, you're looking for Into Your Head. Here's a boy band. They're all about 70 now. Last I heard they were plotting a comeback. I know they're still there. And then, of course, there's been a couple of other artists as well that have had into your head as album names in the last decade or so. Because I stopped doing this for several years. And while I was away, at least 2 different bands had either songs or albums using the title of this podcast. And telling me, damn sure the Christ as hell they didn't consult me about it. And then someone else in Ireland started a podcast called News Burp. Now, you may not realise this podcast was originally called the News Burp Podcast for about 5 minutes because it was based on my original website, which was called newsburp.com. And these people came along and they started an Irish comedy podcast called News Burp. That's why you've never heard of this program before. Well, no, it's not. They're perfectly entitled to do that, but that's not the point. Point is, you're some kid on some music network and you're searching for beats into my head or beats into your head or beats out of your head. You come across this and you hear me going, you probably don't want to hear how the sausage is made. And they'll say, that sounds good. Can we sample that? Because this is how the kids do music now. They'll say, oh, I don't want to know how the sausage is made. That sounds interesting. We should sample that. And so we'll have a fella going, sausage is made. They'll cut out that bit and then they'll put it on. They put it on repeat like this. They'll go, sausages made, sausages made, sausages made, how the sausages made. It's a bit like Coolio's Gangster's Paradise. That was based on a sample by the Stevie Wonder song, Pastime Paradise, where he goes, something, 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 something. And then you have been spending most of my life living in the pastime paradise. And then Coolio came along and talked over that and then put in a new chorus where he goes, it's a gangster's paradise. Except he misspelled it. He said gangstas. Like that's how the young people said in the 90s. They said, oh no, we're not gangsters. It's illegal to be a gangster, so we're going to call ourselves gangstas. We'll say GANGSTAS. We might even put in an incorrect apostrophe just to annoy people. I don't know, I can't remember if they did that. They probably didn't. Young people don't go around adding extra apostrophes to things. If they want to annoy you, they'll take out the apostrophe that's supposed to be there and then take out a couple of letters and misspell it. They don't care enough to add in apostrophes. They're not going to go, oh, we're going to show these old folk, well, we know about punctuation. We're going to create new punctuation. Oh, they do a bit of that online now. They'll say, oh, they'll ask a question. And then they'll put 6 question marks after it instead of 1. And you're supposed to go, oh, this is a really big pertinent question because it's got 6 question marks instead of 1. I should give it 6 times as much attention as I would normally give to it. Of course, 6 times 0 is 0. That's what you young people, you don't learn maths, so you don't realise that. 6 times 0 is still 0. If I'm giving you 0 attention and you do putting 6 question marks, so I sextuplise the attention that I'm giving to you, then that's still 0. 6 by 0 is 0. So there you go. So you've lost that one, and then, of course, Coolio came along a few months ago and died. And that was the end of that. It was very sad. Ah, man, he's not that old. He died. You shouldn't die. People shouldn't die. It's a bad thing. Neither should cats. Our cat Bowsy is in danger of dying at the moment, and it's a bad thing, I can tell you. It's not something you should be celebrating or writing rap songs about. I don't know if Coolio had the same condition as my cat Bowsy has, but apparently it didn't work out very well because he's dead now. Dead as a door. He's as dead as that woman off Murder, She Wrote. Even though they're from completely opposite ends of the spectrum, creatively and probably from a different neighbourhood, they all end up dead. Coolio and your one off Murder, She Wrote, Angela Lansbury. We never figured out whether she had a cat. I think I did an episode many years ago where I discussed the mystery of whether or not Angela Lansbury had a cat. And we never figured it out. Oh wait, maybe that was an episode of Matchstick Cats and not the podcast. I don't know. I'm pretty sure though. Well, I'm sure very little to be honest. Because Coolio B. What in the name of Christ am I talking about? I don't know. I don't know. God only knows. God only knows. Anyway, where are we going now? Suppose I could look at my phone. That's what you young people do when you have a quiet moment. You look at your phone. I'll look at my phone here. Here it is. I'm looking at my phone. Boo, 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 boop, 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 boop. Am I popping my bees here? I know people worry about popping their peas, but I was doing boop, 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 boop. And it might have sound, if I was popping them, it might have sounded like I was going poop, 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 poop. But I wasn't. I was going boop, 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 boop. I was doing it as in it's like all of the sounds starting with a B, not a P. So if it sounded like a P because of the popping, it wasn't. Of course, they never tell you this. They tell you need to take action as a podcaster against popping your peas. You use some sort of a net that catches the peas. You put it in front of the microphone. But they don't tell you about the bees, and it's only occurred to me now you can be popping your bees. It seems to be anyway. You go boop 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 boop. Right, those are bees. Those aren't peas. Although now I've just realised. Wait a minute. Boop 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 boop. Oh, now I have to. You have to roll back on what I said there now, because I realised I was going boop 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 boop. But because I run each boo into the next boo, the O up against the next B, makes it sound a bit like it's more a P than a B. So that's probably why there was popping, if there was popping. Was there popping there? I don't know. When I was going, rest assured, my intention was to go boo, 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 and not poo, 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 poo. I think you can even see there was at least more popping with the P version than the B version. So, well, I hope that provides clarification anyway. I was going boop, 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 and not poo, 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 poo. You see, there it is. I'm hearing the here and now, and I can hear the popping far more on the P than the B. So, I think we figured that out now. When people talk about popping their P's, they're saying P's because P causes more popping than B's. They're not trying to claim that B's can't pop. It's just that they do so relatively far less than P's. So I think that's fair enough now. I think that's fair. I've been listening to a lot of podcasts about podcasting recently. As a fella, he comes on and says, have you been popping your P's? If you get a filter on. There's a net you can get and you put it over your microphone. There's supposed to be one built into this microphone here. It says on the box, it says, don't worry about getting it. It says, don't worry about getting a pea popping filter because there's one built in. I know you can't see it, but that's because it's built in right into the thing here. So it's in there somewhere, I'm assured. So I just presume it is. Why would they lie about it? They're a reputable manufacturer. What are they called? Rode microphones. They're a well-known brand. I believe they're Australian. They wouldn't mislead you. They wouldn't lie about that. Especially not to me, a seasoned podcaster of many years. I've had more than one microphone from this same manufacturer, so they know where their bread is buttered. They're not going to lie to me about that and say, oh no, there's definitely a built-in pop filter inside it there. You just can't see it because you're half blind. No, that would be a bit much for a start. They would go down in my estimation if they did that. Because as it happens, I am half blind. Now, they weren't to know that. But if I thought that they were to know that and then they did that, then they would go down my estimation. If they were just saying because you're half blind as a kind of a joke, I'd be fine with that. I don't mind a joke at my expense or at the expense of other people who have the same issues as me. Well, as long as they're okay with it, that's fine. That's fine. You have to have a sense of humour. Because if you don't have a sense of humor, then for one thing, you've no business making a podcast that's in the comedy section of iTunes. You have no, absolutely no. If you've no sense of humor, do not make a fucking podcast that you call a comedy. If you no sense of humor, what you do is make a podcast and vaguely mention in the tags that it's humor and talk, and then put in humor twice in the tags with the American spelling HUMOR and the European spelling, which is HUMOUO. You don't want to put pressure on yourself, so you don't call it comedy. That's what you do if you're doing that. Well, I put comedy in all the tags and descriptions of this show now. And if it doesn't come out as comedy, then on my head be it. I stand up for myself and say, this is what I'm claiming this is. If you're not laughing, well, then either there's something wrong with you or there's something wrong with me. And never the twain shall be. I know I've been saying that a bit lately. Never the twain shall be. There was a situation comedy in the 1980s called Never the Twain. It was about two old men who were antique dealers from opposite ends of the socio-economic spectrum, supposedly. I say supposedly because they both have posh English accents. One of them was supposedly working class and a bit rough or something, and the other fellow was posh. And no, they both sounded. To the foreign ear, they just sounded like people with posh English accents. One of them didn't pronounce his R's or something. That was the only difference. You have to account for the fact that this wasn't made for us. It was made for people within the United Kingdom of Great Britain and the bit of Northern Ireland that we begrudged them, and which we continue to begrudge them. They shouldn't have that. We want it, but we don't want it back. We want them to not have it anymore. And then we want them to, I don't know what we want anymore. Do we know what we want anymore here? I don't think we do. Because we want them to give back to the north bit of this country, but we don't want it because it'd be fucking expensive. But we also don't want them to keep it. But we also want to be able to give out when they don't look after it. We'll say, you're not looking after that bit of our country properly, even though it's yours. But also, we want it back and you've no business being there. And also, what's the deal with that fella? The king. They have a king now in England again. They have a king. It's like a fucking card game over there. Some fella, the Queen died some time ago. She said, she came along one day and said, hello, I'm the Queen. And then she did that for about 60 years. She says, every day she'd get up and say, I'm the Queen every morning. And then, well, except Sundays, she wouldn't say I'm the Queen because she'd go to Mass on Sundays. And you don't want to be immodest at Mass. You can say, I'm just a normal member of the congregation going to our private little chapel in the garden here. In the name of Christ am I talking about? I don't know. Certainly not my job to satirise the British monarchy. That's their responsibility. The British podcasters can do that. You do that yourself. We'll leave our own stuff to do here. Anyway, that's that. I think I'm popping my teas now. Is that possible? I went, that's that. Was I popping my teas? I possibly was. You cancel it out with white noise or something. If you get out your iTelephone and you go into it, you pull down from the top and you should see a thing that's a picture of an ear. Well, if you've set up the shortcut for it. If not, go into settings and you'll see a thing called background noise. Background sounds, that's what it is. And you set it up so it makes a very loud white noise or pink noise or various other options. So you play that in the background over a podcast that you're listening to. If you kind of want to listen to the content but you can't stand the sound of my voice, you put on the white noise thing here and it sort of drowns it out just enough so you can absorb the words without having to listen to my voice or my popping or anything like that. That's what I find works very well. It works particularly well if you wake up in the middle of the night and your cat is snoring. And you want to go back to sleep. That's what you do. You put on the podcast quite low because you don't want it to keep you awake. You just want the background noise. And then you put the background noise things on as well. That's how you do that. You're probably doing it right now, are you? You probably are. So that's that. That's that. I think that's, is that, yeah, I think that's that. Oh.
Are you going into your head?
Anyway, you don't want to know how the sausage is made. There's such a thing as going too in depth. So I'll just tell you that the sausage comes out of my arse, and that's all you need to know. It's not like with The Walking Dead. You watch an episode of The Walking Dead nowadays. Well, you don't because it's been cancelled. But if you watch an episode, I presume they do the same with the spin-offs. You watch an episode of The Walking Dead spin-off, and they'll kill off some fella who's being... Oh, he's finally got eaten by one of the werewolves or the zombies or wherever they have on it. And then they have an after show, and the actor who's just lost his only first and only steady job that he's ever going to have, he's being suddenly axed because they don't tell him in advance. They find out, oh, today you're going to be eaten by a zombie, and that's it for your character. It's curtains for your character. So then the guy who plays him goes on the after show and they say, hello, welcome to After the Walking Dead. We have a studio audience and we're going to interview the fella who just lost his job in front of 1 million people on television. Hello, well done. We're going to give you a round of applause now for how well you lost your job today. You did a very good job. It was very realistic. In fact, I'm surprised you're here. We thought you would all be eaten by the zombies. Were you not eaten by the zombies? And of course the fella, he hasn't been on one of these after shows before, so he thinks, wait a minute, am I expected to answer this in character? Or am I supposed to just be myself and punch you in the face for being an impertinent arsehole? No, I'll do it in character. I'll say, what did I do? I'll say, I know it looked like I got eaten by zombies today, but there's no eating by zombies involved. If you were actually watching the program properly, all that happens is you get bitten by a zombie, and then maybe a few hours later you die, or you turn into a zombie or something. Or else you turn into a zombie and you wander off and they never find you again. In which case you're not killed off, but your character keeps going, but you're axed from the show because your character is no longer capable of providing any proper conversation. That's the thing with these zombie shows. They want everyone to turn into a zombie, but they still want dialogue. Because there's people watching this on television. Much as they'd like to spend the whole thing watching people being bitten by zombies, you have to have some dialogue on it. And once you're turned into a zombie, the only dialogue you have is, This becomes rather tedious after. Well, it doesn't become tedious. It's fine. It's just that it doesn't go anywhere. That's where you realise you reached the limits. About 12 years into this thing, they realised, oh, this is getting a bit much now. People are getting sick of all the blood and gore and violence. There's not enough dialogue. So what we're going to do now is we're going to cancel the show, but we'll keep the after show going. I don't see why not. If it's an after show, there's no reason why the after show can't keep going after the actual show is cancelled. The clue's in the title. It's called an after show. If it was up to me, I would start the after show. The first episode of the after show would start about a year after the last episode of the last season. That's what they should do. Because that's how you get going. I know what you're thinking there. You're thinking, that's stupid. That's just stupid. Well, excuse me for having an original idea that sounds stupid to you. You probably work in television, do you? Do you work in television, do you? What channel? What channel are you on? Are you on Nickelodeon? Is that it? Because that's not a thing. That's not a thing anymore. The children don't play with Nickelodeons anymore. They don't go to Nickelodeon.com and go, oh, what channel is Nickelodeon on? They want to find out. Is it on my television? They do not. They go, what in the name of Christ is a television, first of all? And then they go, what in the name of Christ is a Nickelodeon? Because even the children who are watching Nickelodeon in the 80s had no idea what that reference was. What was a Nickelodeon? And then you brought her over here and went, what is a nickel? Is that some sort of foreign thing? Because we don't like foreign things over here, I can tell you. Well, that's not entirely true. Like 10 years ago, everyone here, every child in this country and every adult now started using the word garbage instead of rubbish for no reason. She just said, "Oh, I've decided we're going to import the American version of this word, which is garbage." We'd all been aware of it since early childhood. We had Sesame Street in this country since the 70s. I know, we were perfectly fine till about 10, 15 years ago. Everyone fine with word garbage coming out of the Cookie Monster and not thinking, oh, we better start using that here. It's the global language now. We need to be using the same word for rubbish as the Americans use on their puppet shows for preschool children. And which, to be fair, the whole point of that program is supposed to be educational, so why wouldn't you think that? If the Cookie Monster is saying garbage, that's an instruction to the viewer that you have to learn the word garbage. So I suppose that was reasonable for the children to think that. But now suddenly the adults are all saying it as well. They go garbage, 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 garbage. Whereas they used to go rubbish, 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 rubbish. They go garbage, 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 garbage. Except they're not talking about garbage when they say it. They're referring to stuff. They're using it as not as what's that thing you call? You know the thing. It's like an analogy, not an analogy, a thingy yoke. When you refer to something, you're talking about something that isn't actual garbage, but you want to describe it as garbage because you're making an editorial comment on it. So you'll say, that's garbage. You're talking garbage. That cat is full of garbage. That newspaper over there is garbage on the front and garbage on the back. And television listings in the middle. That window over there, like looking out at it, I can see a load of garbage. But it's not the bins or the contents of the bins. It's garbage in that I don't take much of the view, which I think is rather unreasonable. It's a perfectly fine view out there. You can see it. Oh, you can kind of see. Oh, you probably can't anymore. You used to be able to see from this house the top of a hill. But then they built stuff and grew stuff. Everyone spends half their life growing stuff around their gardens. And then they'll say, oh, I'm going to grow it. There's a bit of open air out there where people can see across the top of the wall and they can see the sky over there. I'm going to block that out with greenery. I'm going to grow some trees and never cut them. I'm going to make the trees grow upwards. And it's going to be like the Jack and the Beanstalk. That's what it'll be like. And Jack and the Beanstalk. Tell you about Jack and the Beanstalk. Now, Jack and the Beanstalk. That was a story that I was told as a child. And it was about this fella. Oh, this fella, he went out. I can't remember the exact details, but for some reason he was sent out shopping or something and he got something and he traded it in for some magic beans. And then somehow, I presume he planted the greens somewhere. His party, these greens, you just throw them down somewhere when this is like when you're a child. Everyone tells you, eat that apple, but keep the seeds from the core. And then dump them on the ground there, and a year from now there'll be an apple tree. And it was all lies. We thought there's an apple tree. Don't swallow the pips because you'll have a tree growing inside you. Of course, any half-intelligent child could tell you that was nonsense because they know you excrete the seeds. So the tree, if anything, it would be growing out of the toilet. Well, no, even that never came to pass, so to speak. But no, the Jack and the Beanstalk, he planted this thing in the ground and the beanstalk grew out of it. And then somehow there was giants living at the top of this tree. Now, where were they before the beanstalk grew? Were they inside the seed? That's fucking ridiculous. That's as bad as telling your child that the stork comes along and delivers more siblings for him. That's fucking lying. You're lying to your child. It's worse than that Hansel and Gretel that I dealt with on a recent episode. At least with Hansel and Gretel, there was some amount of realism. We had this woman who was understandably furious because these scumbag children were eating her house. And she came and did something else. She may have overreacted, but at least it was understandable. I don't approve of what she did, but I can understand how someone can get so furious. You're eating their house. And this fella now, he's just, he grows a beanstalk and he grows a whole family of giants in it and puts them in their home there. And then he climbs up inside this thing. And then, I don't know. The giant comes along and he says something about Fee, fi, fo, fum, something, something. I smell the blood. Oh, yes, I smell the blood of an Englishman. Something, something. I'll grind his bones to make my bread. Now, I haven't made bread ever. I think, well, oh no, that's not true. No, that's a lie. Now that you mention it, I'd make you to make it one of those ready-made mixes. You could make tomato bread and you'd put the thing in, you put it in the oven for half an hour and it came out with bread. And you could tell everyone, I cooked bread. Look at this, I cooked bread. And they'd say, that bread isn't cooked properly. You've just baked it. It's raw bread. It's not cooked until you've either, well, it's baked, but baking is only half of the cooking process of a piece of bread. A slice of bread, first you need to bake it, then you bring it home or you put it away to cool down somewhere, and then you toast it or fry it. That's what you do. You're eating half cooked bread there. That's like that thing. There's all these people now when they like their cookie dough. They say, I'm going to have some cookie dough ice cream. They have what's it called? Ben and Jerry. Oh, that reminds me now. Ben and Jerry's. I was about to say Ben and Jerry's, and that reminded me of something. Because there's an old listener of this program who you young people may not be aware of, because this program has been going on since before most of you were born, and then it went away for several years. Who this fella, Jerry? He was one of the main listeners of this program. And he resurfaced recently with some questions. So let's have a look at this now.
I'm Joanne O'Carroll, and when I'm not busy talking Irish at my big fancy job, I listen to Into Your Head from downstairs. He's very loud.
Have a comment, question, or topic request? Email Neal anytime. studio@intoyourhead.ie. Remember, we value the opinions of you, the humble and ignorant listener.
Two dogs walk into a bar in Los Angeles, apparently, because that's a suggested topic by listener Jerry. He says, "Oh, two dogs walk into a bar in Los Angeles." I'm not sure if I've ever been in a bar in Los Angeles. I've been in the general area of Los Angeles. And I've been in a restaurant in Los Angeles. Oh, yes, I have. Of course I have. I've been in a bar. That place where I went to that thing, that was a bar. There was drinks flowing, so there's definitely a bar, if I remember rightly. And then there was no dogs there, though. There was no dogs. So maybe Jerry wants me to fix that and add some dogs into it. I suppose I can do that. Two dogs walk into a bar. One of the dogs goes straight up to the bar counter and says, "Hello, if you don't mind me asking, do you know where we are?" And the man behind the bar says, "Indeed, I certainly do, sir. I know exactly where we are. I know exactly where we are, and I know exactly where we're going. I know exactly how I'm completely organized. I know where I am. I have my diary here. I have all my stock taking done. I know exactly where we are. I've even done all the stuff I'm supposed to do every day as a bar manager. I've counted all the money. A large part of my job as a bar operator is counting the money. So it's not like making sure it's still there, because the phrase "still there" that concept doesn't apply, because it wasn't there in the first place. The whole point of a business is not checking whether the money is still there. The money is supposed to have not been there before and now be there, because you want money coming in. That's what you want. So if you're counting money to see if it's still there, that's just not good. That's a bad sign. You should be counting money that you've never counted before, because you haven't. That money has just come in and you don't know what it is. So you want to count it to see what it is for accountancy purposes. You don't want to be counting the same money again and again. That's just Well, for one thing, that can turn into an OCD thing. You do that too often, the next thing you know, you're walking through every door 4 times and making sure you brush your forefinger against one side of the frame and your other forefinger against the other side of the frame. And then you do the same with each of your second fingers, and then the third one, and then the fourth one. And then you go back and do all that all over again another 3 times to make it up to 4. And then you do another 12 times to make it 4 times 4. And that's the way to run a business. Even a bar in Los Angeles, not that I have any experience of running a bar in Los Angeles, I assume they work pretty much the same way as any other business in the world, in that they rely on bringing in money. Now, they may not be there for the express purposes of bringing in money. They might be there just because the sheer enjoyment of running a bar business, but they still have to. That joy is going to disappear fast, I can tell you, if you don't have money coming into it. So that's why they count their money. And suppose maybe it's reasonable to count your money and then count it again the next day to figure out how much of that money is new. I suppose that's reasonable. Well, it seems a bit. You're repeating work there. That doesn't seem very efficient. You shouldn't have count the same money more than once. So just count the stuff that comes in on that day and add it to your total for wherever you had the previous day. Of course, then you have the problem of change. You're giving out change. People come in with these €50 notes and you'll say, hello, I'd like to pay with a €50 note. And you say, no, I'm sorry, that's unreasonable. We're not a fucking bank. You can't come in here with a big, huge €50 note and expect me to make change for it. And they'll say, but I thought you said the total was €48.59. And they'll say, oh, you have a pint there, I suppose. A pint of my finest Guinness, which as it happens is now €47.58. It's a bit steep, I know. But everyone's got these €50 notes. What am I going to do? I'm going to just charge them €1 and then give everyone back €49 for every pint. You can't run a business like that. If everyone comes in here ordering a pint of Guinness, presumably because it's so cheap, and they give you a €50 note and you give back €49 to everyone, that's not sustainable. You're going to run out of money that way. That's just, no. You don't do that. Don't fucking give all your money back to your customers. Come up with a price for the pint of Guinness that covers the pint of Guinness and covers the cost of you living and not dying from starvation. And then add in a bit for your staff and pay them. And then the customer adds a bit on for a tip, I suppose. So I suppose the thing you do there is make the pint of Guinness €44.99 and have it so you're expected to give a tip. And when they give a tip, they'll say, oh, that's great. I'll give you back your change now. That's what you do. You say, I'll give you back your change now. And then you wait. And you wait until they go, oh, no, you're all right. Keep that. And of course, if they don't go, oh no, you're all right, keep that, then everybody thinks they're a selfish cunt. Which I think, is that really a way you want to run a hostelry? Because it's not meant to be hostile. It's hostelry in that you're supposed to be hospitality. You're supposed to be providing hospitality, not hostility towards your customers. So if you're going to make them feel like they're arseholes just because they don't give you an extra tip on top of your carefully calculated price that you've supposedly figured out, so they're not going to want to come back ever. They're never, ever, 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 ever going to want to come back. Which then they won't come back, I can tell you, until they're thirsty again. I can tell you, when they do come back because they're thirsty, they'll resent you. They'll just resent you. They'll say, I'm back because I'm fucking thirsty. I'm not going to allow myself to die of thirst just out of some, just because I've just kind of a sense of, not wanting to give you pleasure out of my coming back. Not that you get much pleasure out of it. I think, look at you, miserable look on your face as you see me coming in through the door. Think, oh, it's that fella back again. It's Mr. Doesn't tip enough. Well, I think you'll find I did tip enough. You just thought I should tip enough so that you don't have to give me any change out of my €50. Well, maybe I had a reason for needing the 5 cents back. Has that occurred to you? And you'll say, hello, how are you today, sir? Because you haven't heard any of that because they haven't been saying it out loud. They've just been thinking it in their head. They've been thinking it in their head, and in their head, they're furious at you. Because you run this business, you're the only business opening at 11 o'clock at night that can help them with their thirst issue. And they have to come in here, and you're just sitting there. You know you've got them. That's when you know you've got them. They've come back into your bar. It's 11 o'clock at night. They're thirsty. There's nowhere else they can go. Surprisingly, in this world, in much of this world, we don't have 24-hour water shops. We don't. You have bars that are open at night. But if you're thirsty and you need water, there isn't some shop you can go and say, I suppose maybe the convenience store or the 24-hour supermarkets I suppose there's those. But no, the most people, they just end up going into some bar that they resent. They say, oh, you've got the water in here and I've got the thirst. I'll have to come in and grudgingly buy it. And they'll go, yes, sir, what would you like? And they'll say, a pint of your finest tap water, please. And they'll say, that's certainly, sir. Do you want the bottled tap water or the tap water that's on draught here? And they'll say, is this a trick? And you say, why would it be a trick, sir? How would you trick someone with water? It's literally H2 and O mixed together in the exact same. You can't trick someone with water. How can you trick someone? How can you? I can't think of any possible. I'm a barman and I'm a con man who runs a bar and I literally can't think of any possible way you could pull the eyes over someone, whether you wanted it or not, by selling them a water that was some sort of a trick. What is it? I mean, what? You have a different amount of H than the 2O, or you have more 2O and less H, so it's not proper water. Well, what do you imagine I do here? And, of course, the customer will say, well, I'm thinking you're talking about water on draught. Is that code for tap water? And they'll say, what do you mean code? There's a tap there, it says water on it, has a brand name on it, just like the Guinness does. It's on the top there, just like the Guinness. I have a pint glass here, I hold it under the tap and I pour it in, and then I put it up there, and then I put it on your tab. And they say, yes, it's that last part there where you say, and I'll put it on your tab. This is tap water and you're charging me for it. And they'll say, no, sir, this is water that's on tap. It's not tap water, it's water that's on tap. If you have a pint of Guinness and I pull it out of the tap there, you don't say, oh, that's tap Guinness. You're not allowed to charge me for that. That's come out of a tap. You do not. In fact, most people would pay more for the Guinness that comes out of a tap than the one that comes in the bottle. The one that comes in the bottle is disgusting. That's why they brought out cans of draft-style Guinness in the 1990s, because it tasted a bit more like the draft type that comes out of the tap. But of course not, because they're never going to fully replicate the one that comes out of the tap. And the same is true of water. You're never going to properly replicate the water that comes out of a tap. And that's why the water that comes out of a tap costs more. It's right up here you can see me pulling it out of the tap here. I'm not pulling any tricks where you have two different kegs up under the counter, and one of them is for the customers, my regular customers, and the other one is for the customers who I don't give a shit about, and it's kind of old, and it's from the spills tray where I pour it back in. No, it's just, there's no trick here. It's just proper water on top here, right beside the other taps. And you say, well, I suppose that's reasonable. So how much do I owe you? And they'll say, well, you owe me 5 cents from the last time, if you remember rightly. And they'll say, no, I do not. I paid you full. You expected, I offered you a €50 note and asked for 5 cents back, which was going to be my change after the tip, which I had allowed for. I asked for 5 cents back. And you gave it to me back, and that's mine, so I don't owe you that from last time. And then the barman will say, oh, that's fine. I'm a bit confused. It's the first time in several episodes that I've been in the bar hearing someone has come in who's not a cat. So it's quite unusual. Although, wait a minute, are you a cat? I can't remember if I started this story with two cats walk into a bar or if it's just a person in the bar or what. Because earlier, in an earlier segment, I had started by doing a suggestion from Jerry in Southern California, an old listener of this show, who resurfaced recently. He said, "Oh, I noticed you're podcasting. Neal, you're podcasting again." I got an email from Jerry recently. One of the finest listeners of this program for many years. This program went away in 2006 and came back. Oh, it came back last autumn after 7 years. A few weeks ago, I got a message from Jerry saying, "Neal, you're podcasting again. This is great." And I said, "Wait, I'm podcasting again. I didn't know that." So I looked it up. I looked up my website, and yes, it turns out, yes, I am podcasting again. And then Jerry started listening. He's catching up now, and he's up to the part where he goes, "Oh, I've revised enough now. I'm up to date enough where I can start sending in topic requests and suggestions." And one of them he sent in was two dogs walk into a bar in Los Angeles. And now, at some point in the last hour or so during this recording session, I started the segment with two dogs walk into a bar in Los Angeles, which was Jerry's suggestion. I can't remember if that segment worked out or if I stopped and scrapped it and started a new one. So, which means I don't really know whether this barman is talking to two dogs or a human or two cats, which is what the usual thing is. So I don't know. I think it was a human though. I'm not sure. I'm not. Either way, nobody deserves to be conned into buying tap water. They do not. Nobody deserves to be conned into buying tap water, well, except maybe a dog. A dog comes along and fucking licks everything, gets disgusting saliva on everything. You don't want a dog doing that. But that doesn't mean they deserve to be treated badly. Dogs have as much right as everyone else to go into a bar and say, "Hello, can I have a pint of your finest water on tap?" But not tap water, water on tap, but don't charge me for it. But wait a minute, do you usually charge me for it? No, you don't usually charge me for it because I'm a dog. I don't go into bars. And if I did, you wouldn't say, "Would you like a pint of my finest Guinness, sir?" You would not. He'd say, "There's a dog. Get out, get out, get out, get out, get out. This is a disgusting dog. Get out of my bar. Get out, get out, get out, get out, get out. You're scaring the cats. Get out, get out, get out, get out, get out, get out. I'll have health and safety down on me like a ton of bricks." And then they'll say, a ton of bricks, is that dangerous? And they'll say no. They'll say, if you have a ton of bricks, you must have proper scaffolding with fencing around it and hard hats. And you say, what if the ton of bricks is already on the floor? It's a pile of bricks on the floor. You can't fall down any further than the floor because it's on the floor, it's on the ground. It's not going to fall on anyone, it's already on the ground. And they'll say that's only the case if it's not a pile of bricks, because a brick can fall off a pile of bricks. The only way you can have a ton of bricks on the ground and not need to take precautions against it falling is if every brick is laid out flat on the ground so it can't possibly fall another inch. You can't have a brick stacked on top of another brick or anything like that. It has to be laid all flat on the ground. And even then, it's a trip hazard. People come in and trip over those bricks. Unless you'd have maybe someone who's good at tiling, who usually does tiles, and they lay the bricks out properly flat on the ground and stick them down. But then that makes them unusable, because the whole idea, you've got these bricks in because you're storing them, because you're going to use them in a project, presumably. So if you store them flat on the ground and then glue them to the ground or something, like it's paving, then I don't know. I don't really know very much about building or tiling or any of that. My background was in spending 5.5 years in college trying to learn accountancy and falling asleep. That's what my background is in. So, although then you would think now then that I would know a bit more about business, about how to run a business. I wouldn't be making up crap about tap water on tap and giving 5 cents back begrudging to the bartender. I don't know. Maybe I just don't have a flair for business, no matter how much I try to cram, no matter how many facts and accounting regulations and business laws I try to cram into my skull for most of my 20s. I just don't have a flair for it. That's why I end up, every time I try to talk about business on this podcast, I end up making up some crap about 2 dogs or 2 cats walking into a bar and some nonsense about, you know. I suppose that's okay. That's okay. You seem to have somehow managed to make a pastime out of it for 10 of the last 17 years. So I suppose that's good. Oh, and I also met Jerry as a result of it. That's good too. So it's all been worth it. Anyway, on with the show. You join me at a tremendously exciting moment, because I've just recorded a fantastic segment that covered everything from cauldrons to witches on television to air fryers to air quotes and lots of things in between, and I hadn't fucking pressed record. You fucking arsehole tablet I'm recording on. You made that thing that looks like a big red record button with a pause thing in the middle, but it was... Oh, you fucking this thing is an arsehole. So this thing is I'm not... Oh, I know you can't see what I'm pointing at. I'm not pointing at my arsehole. I'm pointing at the app that I'm recording on my iPad here. Although I suppose it's not your fault. I just wasn't looking over there. And it's also rather blurry either way anyway. No, fuck you anyway. You're an arsehole. It's an inanimate object, so I'm not doing any damage by... It's not like I'm going to psychologically scar my iPad by calling it an arsehole. No. Just letting off steam. And it's not even the iPad that's at fault, or even the app that I'm using. The app that I'm using is perfectly fine. Just have a trouble seeing it. Fuck you, arsehole. Fuck you, arsehole. There you go. There's a bit of swearing for you. Of course, you young people, you're well used to the swearing nowadays. You have swearing and everything. You come online and you see someone saying every second tweet now with someone going, fucky arsey, cunty, wanky arsey fuck. And then every other tweet is someone saying something, Donald Trump, something, that woman out of the royal family, something, whatever is going on in Israel. And then something, I don't know. Something, I don't know. That's what it is. That's what Twitter is now. It's all something, I don't know. Arse, Gaza, terrible things happening in the Middle East. Something about the Queen still being dead, and something the other Queen is there, and then the future Queen is sick. And then some other thing about some people going, that's the country next door, you fucking arsehole, you West Brit. Stop following British news, you fucking West Brit. And then there's some other thing about Donald Trump. And then there's some other thing about the other fella who's running America at the moment, whatever his name is. President something, that's what he is. You have President something. You always have President something in America. They're all called President something. Say, hello, President something. You're a great man. Well, you're not a great man. It's just you have a job. That's what you are. You have a job. That's what your presidency is, you know. You Americans go on about your presidency as it's a big, huge thing. It's a job. That's what it is. It's a job. Mary, that Donald Trump fella, he's just a fella with a job. He's a fella who got a job and then he lost the job. Well, his contract ended and it wasn't renewed. And now he's trying to get the job again. And you think that's a big, huge thing. Oh, Christ, this fella's got a job. He's got a job. How do we stop it? Well, you can stop giving him jobs if it's a problem for you. Or if he's not a problem for you, keep giving him jobs. I don't know. Who am I to tell you how to run your country? I don't know. I don't know. The human resources is the concept of human resource management is the same the world over. You give someone a job, or you take the job off them, or you train someone else to do the job, or you abolish the job and, I don't know, devolve it to other people, or I don't know what else you do. You do something else. There's loads of ways you can run. There's loads of ways you can do this stuff. Everything has loads of ways you can run things. Come along and say, hello, we're not going to do the president thing anymore. We're going to have a prime minister instead. That's what we do over here. We have our Prime Minister, but we have an Irish word for it. He's called the Tasioghiflghiush. And then we hear someone on the British media saying, oh, the Irish PM has said this. And then we go on Twitter and we say, how dare you? His title is it's the people rule. Learn it properly. You downtrod our country for 800 years. The least you could do is learn the proper Irish title of our equivalent of the Prime Minister, who is not a Prime Minister. He's a tifu. And then, of course, they'll have a go at it. Someone will have a go at it. They'll say, oh, the Irish PM tifu. And everyone will go nuts. And rightly so. It's not too much to ask you to learn one simple word after dominating us for 800 years and then going off and having your queen and stuff and doing whatever else as you do. Learn the word It's not that complicated. It's not complicated at all. Now, so there you go. Oh, we're getting a new tomorrow. I'm recording this on Saturday. We just found out yesterday we're getting the new of Ireland tomorrow because your man stood down and they said, the party said, we'll have to select a new fella. So they selected a new fella, except the new fella. There was only one fella, so it wasn't really quite as much of a selection as some fella going, I'll have a go at it. So that fella's going to have a go at it. So we're having a new fella having a go at it now. So that's what you do. He's not the PM though. Don't call him the PM. He's not the PM. He's the So there you go. There's a bit of local politics for you. Isn't it great? Anyway, on with the end of the programme or wherever follows next. Anyway, good morning. Anyway, good morning. Anyway, on with the show. Anyway, good morning. Anyway, stuff.